Hey guys, and welcome back to Super Mario Sunshine. In today's part, we're going to be finishing off the episodes in Noki Bay and moving on to the next level, which is a shame because up until now I was having a pretty good day, and then I remembered that the first episode we'll be covering in this part is an Il Piantissimo race. I guess you can't have everything. Any tips for this one, Spar?
Well, this race is kind of specific, or special, among Piantissimo's races, and that there's a pretty big shortcut in this one. If you take the lower path when the race starts, instead of taking the upper one like you'll see me do in a minute, there's a big boxing glove that'll pop out, and it'll fire Mario all the way across the level, all the way to the flag, almost.
Now, did he put that shortcut there, like, out of pity? Because he's not exactly the most sprightly of racers.
Nah, he's not the fastest guy, and I think the boxing glove thing is actually a theme with Noki Bay because there's these little alcoves all over the cliffs, and a lot of them have blue coins, but a few of them will have the boxing gloves that'll fire you out if you're not paying attention, and the sound they make is kind of loud and usually makes me jump if I run into one.
Yes, the shock glove, if you will. Now, Piantissimo isn't the smartest bulb in the closet. He's not the biggest tree in the forest, shall we say, just to allude to his Spanish name. He kind of just plonks down a flag any old where and says, "Yep, that's it, that's the finish line."
And he doesn't take the best route to get there either. He takes a really long way around, which is strange because if you come back and redo these levels, because you can redo the missions, if you come back and do these again, his time will actually be the last time that you beat him with. So if I came to do this one again, his time would be 27 seconds.
Basically like facing a staff ghost in one of the Mario Karts.
Yeah, a lot like that. Also, I feel like we should bring up, he's hoarding shine sprites. Shouldn't he be arrested for that?
I'd make a joke about no one being able to catch him, but we seem to be doing just fine. And is it just Mario that was charged with collecting shine sprites and giving them directly to the local authorities? Because, you know, they're going for sale. Tanukis are selling shine sprites.
Come get your shine sprites here, 10 blue coins each.
Please go for 100% or we'll kind of be here forever. A little bit of platforming fare for you now, folks, but I hear on the grapevine, Spar, that you dislike the first half of this mission.
Yeah, the floodless part of this one I actually really like and is one of my favorites. But getting to it is kind of difficult for me. Just walking on the tightropes, avoiding the little electric balls that travel along the tightropes, and just trying to deal with the piss-ass camera in this game makes this so hard.
You can tell Spar is properly knocked off when he uses profanities, but yeah, I agree. The camera makes this a lot more of a hassle than it should be. And as for these little electro shells, I guess, the blue ones follow a set path. The red ones, much like red shells, again, in Mario Kart, will home in on you when they see you. Yeah,
just trying to avoid the red homing electro shells. I like that you pointed out their shells. I never actually thought of that. But just trying to avoid the red ones while climbing on the wires was a bit tricky for me, trying to deal with the camera at the same time.
I like the touch that there's a load of seagulls, because we're so high up.
Yeah, you may have noticed actually when the intro to this level played that all the seagulls were kind of congregated around the entrance here on the shell. I guess that just might be their spawn point when the level starts.
Well, whatever floats their boat, I guess, or rocks their sky, if you prefer. If you like wall jumps, you're gonna like this secret area, folks. It's got every type of wall jump you could ever ask for.
Yeah, and I love me some wall jumps, just trying to chain jumps together and make it really cool. This is one of the levels that I really wish I could watch a speedrun of, because watching all of this in seamless motion would be just amazing to watch, in my opinion.
You're not tethered to FLUDD anymore. You can be the Mario that you've always wanted to be.
Considering the wall jump in Mario 64 wasn't the greatest thing ever, it's kind of nice to have, you know, a working game mechanic this time.
I think I was able to pull off wall jumps better in Mario 64 DS than I ever was in the original game, and that was using a D-pad.
Yeah, well, that's just the timing more than the control stick versus D-pad thing, I think. This level is actually one of the more difficult if you come back to this one, because when you come back to the floodless levels, you can do like a dash for getting 8 red coins and you're on a timer, but you have FLUDD there. But this one's kind of difficult because they're really spread out and some of the jumps are really difficult even if you can use the hover nozzle. Especially that one right there. That last jump is a lot more tricky than it needs to be, Mr. Game Developers.
Yes, I believe that one is known internally at Nintendo as Beginner's Folly.
It's like, if the wood platform is flat, you're gonna miss the jump most likely. But if you're jumping off the corner, you've got a better chance to make it. So now that we've finished all of the other missions in Noki Bay, it's time to chase after Shadow Mario, except not the Shadow Mario that has the turbo nozzle.
Huh.
I don't know how he gets here so fast, to be honest.
Great, he's franchising himself. You got your Noki Bay Shadow Mario, you got your Serena Beach Shadow Mario. There's just so many varieties of Shadow Mario. I'll take salt and vinegar, personally.
We actually run into a different kind of Shadow Mario chase in the final area of the game, but that's something for later. This chase in particular is one of my least favorite because it's more of a vertical chase than going around the level, just because you're climbing on this cliff so much.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult to spray him while you're jumping around.
A little bit finicky, yeah.
And of course, as we've mentioned many times, the camera is not really the best to deal with something like this.
Get out your HellfireComms checklists. They're bitching about the camera again. Tick, 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 boom! The paper just engulfs itself in flame.
Well, it's a good thing we have FLUDD to spray it off. There is a little trick, as you saw, when he starts running up the hill where you can just continually spray him, and it's really easy to grab him right there. And a lot of the Shadow Mario chases actually have something like that, where there's just a point where you can continually spray and not really be worried about running into him or anything.
I suppose that was kind of to lower the challenge, because younger players might have a bit of an issue with chasing a moving target.
Are you happy now, Tom? It's time to go get the turbo nozzle.
Well, I'm content. I don't think I'll ever be happy.
Well, that's kind of sad.
You can't be sad in this, it's Super Mario Sunshine. I fucking hate my life.
Boy, that escalated quickly. Shadow Mario kind of gives me the runaround in this one, just because I'm trying not to hit him and take damage. But, it's just like the previous one for getting the Yoshi, you just chase him around. He never uses the turbo nozzle to run faster, so I'm not sure why he decided to grab it or anything.
Does he use the rocket nozzle? I honestly can't remember.
No, he never uses any of the items that he's carrying, although really it makes sense because, I mean, he doesn't have FLUDD to add a nozzle onto, so I guess that makes sense.
He can create piranha plants. Who's to say he couldn't create his own shadowy FLUDD?
That's a good point, but that makes me think of, spoilers for Skyward Sword, Fi and Girahim, or Fi, if you pronounce her name that way.
Oh, look at this, we Sonic Unleashed now.
Yeah, the turbo nozzle gives you a function very similar to the boost mechanic, especially... It reminds me more of Unleashed than either of the other boost mechanics, really, and I don't know why that is. This last jump here is probably one of the trickiest points in the entire game, which is good because this is an optional level. If you jump a little bit too late, Mario will hit the platform and keep running right over the edge and fall all the way down to his death.
Internally, that one's known as Spar's Bane.
Actually, Spar's Bane comes up in the next part, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
So now that we've gotten the turbo nozzle, Shadow Mario decides he's going to grab himself the rocket nozzle. Unfortunately, we've got another level to get through before we can go grab that.
What, did he just, like, hijack an EGAD supply truck or something? He seems to be getting a hold of these pretty quickly.
Well, that might be how he got the paintbrush. He might have been lying to us when he said EGAD gave it to him.
Yeah, well, I think he heavily implied that he assaulted him, to be honest.
And now we've actually gotten to one of my favorite boss fights in the game. I love how unique this one is, and I love Serena Beach. It's one of the prettiest levels. on the outside. Not so much on the inside.
I love that little pause because it encapsulates what I think about this level. The outside is beautiful and it's got this lovely sunset. You know, you can see the ocean. You can even go into the ocean if it tickles your fancy. But the inside of the hotel leaves a lot to be desired, and as we'll most likely be bitching about next time and every part after that, the camera leaves a lot to be desired.
This mission in particular, though, like I said, is pretty unique as a boss fight because it's not PD Piranha, it's not Gooper Blooper, it's something different, and I'm so fucking glad.
You could even say the boss is the level itself.
I don't think we've gotten quite to that level of existentialism, Tom.
Well, he's going about spreading his electro goop everywhere.
The best way to handle this boss is to kind of get rid of the electric goop before you talk to the hotel manager. But for the sake of simplicity and for, you know, keeping the playthrough on track, I decided to just go straight into it.
Yeah, for the sakes of keeping it real. This is a Phantomancer, and as you will do with every single boss in Sunshine, you spray him with water, and he takes a hurtsy.
If you actually spray him enough times, he will split into separate parts, as you can see here, and then you just keep spraying him and they keep splitting into new parts, and eventually you have dozens and dozens of tiny little manta rays running around, leaving trails of electric goop for you to run into and get shocked and die.
Yeah, that's the main hazard of this stage. You got to be careful to strategize here and try not to box yourself into a corner. Actually, hanging out by the ocean can be very beneficial because I believe they can't hurt you while you're in water.
No, if you're standing in the water, they can still hurt you. If you've gone far enough out that you're floating, I don't think they can, because they just float along the ocean floor. But as long as you're standing, they can still hurt you.
Citation needed, but hanging out in the ocean is obviously a good choice, because you're eventually going to run out of water, especially if you're reckless like me.
There's actually a little pool of water off in the back corner behind where the hotel would be, where you can just stand in that, and I don't think the mantis can reach you in there. But it might be difficult because they also won't come near you, and you're not really in a good place for the camera to allow you to hit them. So it's kind of weird trying to attack them there.
You say they won't come near you, but once you take out enough of these guys, they'll turn all purple and filled with rage.
It's actually, I think speedruns of this game try to get to this final phase here, where all the mantas are chasing you faster, because of course when they're chasing you, you don't have to go around chasing after them, and they just kind of come to you in a continuous stream.
The sprayer has become the sprayed.
The circle spray and just being able to run while spraying, like not holding all the R button all the way down, is really helpful here, as you could probably see.
Sorry, this just looks so goofy.
Really kind of dangerous in this part because the purple or pink of the tiny manta rays will blend into the beach a little bit. But it also tugs on my heartstrings just hearing their continuous screams of agony as I kill them.
That kind of took a dark turn, though.
Maybe not so much on the heartstrings, maybe the murder strings.
Just before we wrap up this part, if you actually look at Sirena Beach, the outside of it anyway, from like a bird's eye view, it's actually laid out like the face of a Nintendo GameCube pad, which is really cool.
Yeah, the little pools of water are laid out in the style of the A, B, X, Y buttons, and the little umbrella stands are in the place where the D-pad and the C-stick would be, which is a really nice touch, and it's really cool that Nintendo did something like that. It's not like they could throw a Wii controller into one of the Galaxy games or anything like that.
Or, you know, on a Mars ship. Well, in any case, that'll do us for part 9 of this playthrough, guys. We'll see you all next time for a spooktacular installment of Super Mario Sunshine.